Hi. Hi, my name is Joe Kroll. I'm doing this because I've been trying for 5 years to get something done because I was hurt. I worked for the government at Camp Pendleton at the corrosion repair facility from 2010 to 2016. In 2014, I slipped and fell off a Humvee. I almost bled to death. I got my body all busted up. And basically, I lost my livelihood. I couldn't do it anymore after that. Um, my boss, uh, Steve Ron Vestal, uh, they went after him. Like I said, I was hired by the DOD, I was paid by the Navy, and we were under a Marine Corps command. After I fell, they went after my boss. His bosses were Steve Rose, Jackie Jones, and Ed Shimko. They knew that heads had to roll. So they went after him, and they blamed him for everything. And one of the charges that they charged him with was not following fall protection protocol. We'll get back to that in a minute. But anyway, four of us wrote letters. They brought him up to Barstow. Barstow was where we worked out of. They were our bosses. And they brought him to Barstow, and they said, you can stay in Barstow, but you have to sign a piece of paper saying you're not going to sue us. Okay? Now, there was four of us that sent letters up to Barstow when they had the hearing. It was me, Juana Simons, and Terrence Ward, and Tony Profo. We all sent letters up there saying that it's not his fault that this happened. He tried to get stuff for us, and you wouldn't give it to him. Now, at the time of my fall, I didn't know that fall protection was a federal law. They enacted it in 1970. There's three types of fall protection: side protection, netting protection, or a full arrest harness protection system. Okay. We had side protection, but we didn't have the harness protection. That's what we needed. We were climbing on 7 tons, a lot of big stuff that the Marine Corps drove and hauled around. M tracks or M tacs, whatever they call them. I don't know. They were like a tank with 4 wheels. They had tires on them, and all these some of these things were 12, 15 feet off the ground. That's just what you're standing on. And you couldn't paint them all from the side. You had to stand on top of them to paint them because there's so many nuts and bolts, and, they have this armor on them, and you just can't do it that way. You have to be on top of the vehicle in order to get the top of the vehicle painted. Well, I fell off of a Humvee, and a Humvee's a little over 5 feet. Okay. Now, after I fell, they took me to a trauma center in San Diego. Okay. I lost 3.5 pints of blood that day. I had a scar from here all the way to here. This was all hanging down here from what I understand. Okay. And I didn't know where I was, what I was doing. I was glad that at that day that there was somebody in the booth with me that was learning how to paint. Matt Klein. They gave a thing that if you wanted to learn how to paint, they would teach you. And you made more money. Painters made more money. So he was in there with me. Usually there was nobody there with me. If he wouldn't have been there, you wouldn't see me right now. I'd have been buried 5 years ago. I would have bled to death in the place. Okay, because they wouldn't have come in to see what was going on for a while. I would have probably bled out. And when they took me to San Diego, I was selling my house, so the next day I had to get home. I had a dog there that I had just gotten, and I had no phone to get in touch with real estate people. Tell them, don't even come in the house, because if you come in the house and you don't see the dog and you close the door, you could be in trouble. And I had to get home. So they called up there in at Pendleton, and they came to get me. They brought a clean T-shirt because the other one they ripped off me, right? And I had the same clothes that I had worn when they took me in there, my painter's clothes. And I got up to Camp Pendleton, and the three bosses that were ahead of me, or over my boss, they were all at Camp Pendleton. It was like, it was rats in a maze. They were all trying to figure out who they were going to screw, because they knew somebody was in trouble and they didn't want to be them, So I'm there. I mean, this whole side of my head was purple, right? I looked like Frankenstein, for crying out loud, right? I needed to get home. My head was pounding like crazy. They told me I had a concussion when I left the hospital. They didn't want me to leave the hospital, but I had to get home. I had nobody to get in the house. And I knew, since the dog had been in there the morning before, he probably took a crap, probably peed, And so when we got back, I said, look, I got to get home. And they go, well, you're going to have to wait. They didn't want to have someone drive me up there and then follow in another car so they could come back to Pendleton, And I said, look, I got to go home. I wasn't supposed to be driving. I was seeing double. Finally, I just said, to hell with it. I grabbed my keys, went and got into my Mustang, and I drove home. I drove home like this. Because if I kept both eyes open, it was 6 lanes instead of 3. And when it turned to 2 lanes, it was 4 lanes instead of 2. But I made it home. I found out it was about a month later, that they were going after my boss. And my boss gave me all his paperwork that showed that, they didn't really give a shit about the fall protection thing. That's 7 years. 7 years they broke a federal law. That's the Department of Defense, the Marine Corps, and the Navy, all 3 of them. And they had to know about it. They had to know about it. When they got cited, you don't think that the people up in Washington get told about this stuff? Of course they do. So the top people in the Marine Corps and the Navy and the DOD all knew about this. And they decided that, you know what? Since we're the Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Department of Defense, we don't really have to follow these laws. We can do whatever the hell we want. If someone gets hurt or maimed or killed, we just blame them like they did to me. They didn't care. I mean, you can't say they cared about the people that worked there, because they didn't, And I mean, even in the law, it says that I have the, I can't think of the word, that these people are going to give me safety devices to keep me safe. It says it in the fall protection law. It says that I have the expectation that these people will keep me safe. They didn't do that. They didn't care. Expectations meant nothing to these people. Okay. So I decided, I was 65 when this happened, and you find out that when you find out, you hear when you were younger, and you hear from an older person that fell, and they go, you know what? My life was over after I fell. Well, you find out at 65, when you have a horrific fall like this, your life is over. You're not the same person anymore. I don't care who you are. You can't do the same things. I mean, when I finally got back there, like almost a year later, one of the guys that I painted with that now is an inspector told me, Joe, you're not half the painter you were before. And it pissed me off. I've been doing this for 30 years and I'm half the painter I was. You know what? And he was right. I wasn't anymore. And I was the lead painter there. I mean, I've got paperwork from them. When they asked my boss asked for fall protection, they said, we don't have the funds. If you don't have the funds, you close the place down. I wonder if they had a thing in the Pentagon with the head of the Navy and head of the Marine Corps, and they spun a wheel every day to see, hey, did anybody get killed at Camp Pendleton today? Anybody get maimed at the CRF? I wonder if they did that in the DOD. They all sat there and they spun the wheel and they had a pool to see if somebody would die or get maimed or get hurt over there. Is that what they did? I wouldn't doubt it, because you can't tell me that they cared about the people that worked there, about their safety, because then even after I fell in 2014, they still didn't install in my booth until 2016, and they waited to expand the booth so that they could put bigger pieces in, because they took we were doing 7 tons. We were supposed to be doing Humvees. With 7 tons, we had about 2 feet on each side of the 7 ton, or some of the bigger pieces we had in there, right? I mean, if you fell off one of them things, you'd probably be dead. And we did have a guy that fell off the motor of a 7 ton. We had to cover the motor because we were getting overspray on the engines. And you had to open the hood, because if you didn't open the hood, the overspray would get, if you were painting the windshield and everything, the overspray would get on the hood, and then the stuff would dry. You couldn't paint the hood. So we'd open the hood so that the paint overspray would hit and drop down. Well, we had to put drops over the hood, over the engine, I mean. So when you were painting the windshield, or if it had a turret, you were basically walking and trying to step and find something that was solid. Well, this guy stepped and it wasn't solid all of a sudden. And he fell, and we found him screaming, hanging upside down. The engine's like 6 feet off the ground. So if you're standing on it and you're 5 feet, you're 11 feet, your head's 11 feet off the ground. What do you think would happen if you fell head first? Hit cement. You're Humpty Dumpty. That's who you are. You know what they said? Use what you got. Use what you got. That's what you got. Nothing. Right? I guess they wanted us to learn how to fly. I guess that's what they did. And we painted stuff that was 15 feet off the ground. Okay? In 2017, I left there. I couldn't work there anymore. I told them I retired. But who's going to work someplace where that these people didn't give a shit if you lived or died? They didn't care. And this is supposed to be people that are Marines in the Navy. These guys are supposed to be taking care of me, like I took care of people when I was in the Army. And finally I come back to Florida because I couldn't live in California. And one day I get a hold of Barstow, and I find out there's an accident report. An accident report. You know who the accident was? I was the accident. Did anybody come talk to me about the accident? No, nobody did. It's a joke. They did an accident report, okay? I guess they didn't even know which side of my head that got smashed, because they had me flipping over and hitting the right side of the fender. It was a 4-door Humvee with a little bed on it, like a pickup truck. So the back fender is flat. You could sit on it, okay? They had me, I don't know, I guess I had to be one of the Bandini brothers, to flip over. I landed on this side of my head in this end of the Humvee. On that side, the left side. They had me flipping all the way over, right? I mean, I know I'm Joe Cool, but I'm not one of the Bandini brothers that works for the Barn and Bailey Circus, okay? To flip all the way over and smash this. You see that? That's a scar right there. That's part of it. That's where I hit my head. How am I supposed to hit my head on the right side? How am I supposed to do that? And they had this thing from the Pentagon that we sent a congressional inquiry. It was another joke. And there was a thing in there that said that I had tripped on a bolt. I fell. And over these 3 years, I never heard that before. And I was like, where the hell did they get that from? So when I got the accident report, they had pictures. It was like, did you ever watch Captain Kangaroo when you were a kid? Like, I'm old. So they had picture dictionary. Well, that's what they had. They had pictures, and there was a picture of an arrow pointing to a bolt. And on the back of this Humvee, before it goes down flat where the bed is, there was armor. And that armor had bolts in it, okay? And they had a thing pointing, and it goes, this is the bolt that I tripped over, all right? Then the next picture was a picture of a booty, because if you were climbing on the stuff, you had to put a booty on your boot so you wouldn't contaminate any of the stuff you were painting. This is the booty that get caught on the thing on the boat that made Joe trip. I mean, it's the funniest damn thing. It's the only thing that keep me sane. Just watch how dumb these people are, right? I mean, that's what they did, right? So, I mean, I didn't even know this accident report existed. I didn't even know it existed. They didn't even come see me, right? So now we get down to this thing where they tell me that I took a fall protection class 2 days before I even started working there. Okay. Now I'm trying to figure out who would be the dummy to give us a fall protection class. I mean, you start out with saying fall protection has been in effect since 1970. There's three types. There's netting, there's netting protection, there's side protection, and there's a full arrest harness system protection. You have the side protection. You don't need to set the netting protection, but you're supposed to have the full arrest harness system. We don't have it, okay? So you're on your own. Don't fall, all right? That's fall protection, okay? And then they told me that I didn't follow fall protection protocol. How can you follow fall protection protocol when you don't have fall protection? You know what? I sent them a thing and I told them, I said, you know what it's like? I said, it'd be like your son or your daughter going to high school and they take driver's ed. And they go into the classroom and they have the classroom and everything, right? Now it's time to go out into the car. They get out in the car and they open the door. There's no steering column on the steering wheel. Surprise, right? That's what they did to us. They tried to tell me to send me to a class, and then I get back and I don't have anything to help keep me safe. Totally insane. Totally insane. I've been fighting them for 5 years. They gave me $22,000 from workman's comp, and they go, that's it. No, it's not. You people broke the law. You broke the law. Okay? And then you covered it all up so that you wouldn't lose your stars or your eagles or whatever the hell you got sitting up there. You decided that the people that you were supposed to be protecting, that your stars and your eagles and your captain bars and all this other garbage you got up there meant more to you than what the people that you were supposed to be protecting meant to you. You took an oath, like I did when I got in the military and everybody else in the military, that you would protect them against people foreign and domestic. And if it came down to it, you protect them with your life. But you know what you did with that? You threw that out the window. I don't care what you did up until that time, and when you started covering everything up, all of that, whatever. I don't care if you got silver stars or you got the Congressional Medal of Honor. That don't mean shit no more. You threw that away for what you had on your shoulders. That's what you did. You took that oath and you spit on it. You spit on your country. You spit on the people in this country. You spit on every man and woman that ever served in the armed forces that's here or gone. You spit on them. And then what's even worse is the Marines, they have a code, honor. And in honor, it says that they don't lie, cheat, or steal. I don't believe that. I call you a liar there, Commandant. You are a liar. And those three words that they use, honor, and then I think it's code and commitment. Hey, you know what theirs are? There's your lie, dishonor, and BS. That's what they use. Those are their words. Okay? Now I'm coming after you people. I'm never going to quit. It's been 5 years. I ain't never going to quit. Never. The only thing you messed up was you shouldn't have. I'm an Army brat. I'm a Vietnam vet, and I'm a senior citizen. You should have never came after us Army brats and Vietnam vets. Never should have. Especially Army brats. One thing we're taught when our fathers were in the service, we honor the government, we honor our service, and we protect our country. And my father told me one thing: if you're right and you know you're right, you fight right to the death. Well, I know I'm right, and I'm going to fight till the death if that's what it means. My mother and my father gave 25 years of service to this country in the military. My mother was a chef, master baker, and she sang on Armed Forces Radio. And she's in the Library of Congress. And they also gave another 5 years to the government. It's 30 years. With the 9 years I gave, that's 39 years. I don't care about my 9 years. But if I don't see this to the end, what I'm saying is the 30 years my parents gave to this country don't mean shit. And right now, what the Marine Corps and the Navy are telling me, that it doesn't mean shit. Well, it does to me. Okay? And I'll die for that. Believe me. I don't care. I'm not crazy. I might be a little nuts, but if you're not a little nuts, then you're not living. So that's the way it is. First thing I want. Mr. President, I tried to negotiate with these people and they didn't want to negotiate. So we're not negotiating anymore. This ain't a negotiation. This is what I want. This is written in stone. I want these people arrested for breaking the law. Okay? All of these military people. And I know it goes up to the Commandant of the Marine Corps and the head of the Navy. I want them court-martialed for dereliction of duty. That's a dishonorable discharge. I want them thrown out of the military and they lose all their privileges. Everybody. They lose them. I don't care. The people that work for the Department of Defense, when they work, they give money for when they were working, they gave money for their retirement. But the government also puts money in for their retirement. Okay? The money the government puts in, I want it gone. These people didn't do their job. And they knew this. They knew this. And they didn't do nothing. I mean, they stuck this thing. This is really nuts. This guy, Steve Rose, I call him Peaches. That's what he was, right? And he went and had them make this thing for fall protection. Okay, this is really hilarious. They put it up in the booth, and they drove a Humvee in, right? But you couldn't get out of the Humvee. That was like the funniest thing I ever seen. Was it? And they spent like $100 and something thousand on these things. They put one in my booth, and then they put another one in the blast booth. They drove a 7-ton in the blast booth, and the guy couldn't get out of the truck. Isn't that hilarious? You're going to be in there while they're blasting it, right? You drive it in, you're going to paint it. How are you going to paint it? You can't get out of it, right? I mean, it was hilarious. All this money spent for nothing, I mean, it's a joke. I mean, and Mr. President, when I first started this, I only wanted like $500,000. Well, I don't want $500,000 anymore. No, I want a little bit more. And your new guy, the new AG, he said on his hearings there that nobody was above the law. Well, Mr. Barr, we're going to find out how truthful you were to the Congress if you're not going to go after these people. Mr. President, I got another thing I'm going to tell you. I also told your Secret Service, they've been to my house twice already, because I said I was going to bear arms against you. And they said I couldn't say that. And I said, yes, I can. I said, the Second Amendment has basically nothing to do with you carrying a gun. I said it was brought in there because after Revolutionary War for the farmers, that if there was a standing military or a standing government trying to take their life, liberties, or pursuit of happiness away from them, they could bear arms against them. And I told this guy, I said, hey, they almost caused me to bleed to death. They busted up my body and they took my livelihood away from me. What else are you going to take from me? So if you don't think I can bear arms against you, you're full of crap. Right? I was at the White House, February 2nd, 2017. I had my paperwork with me. I wanted to give it to somebody to bring into the White House and give to you. The 2 Secret Service guys outside said I couldn't do that. I had my dogs with me. One's part American Bulldog and Dalmatian. And the other one looks like Benji, a little terrier. Their ass. But anyway, I had them with me. I had my Vietnam hat on my head, And once they told me I couldn't give it to anybody, I just kind of like walked around, and in the back there, there's some kind of a little monument or something. I sat down there on the curb. They were doing something with it. And I sat on the curb, and I got up, and I was walking around, and one of the Secret Service guys came over and said, look, you got to leave. And I go, why? He said, you got to leave. If you don't leave, we're going to arrest you. I said, hey, come on, man. You told me not to bother anybody. I'm not. You got to leave. So I started to leave. All of a sudden, over the loudspeaker system that they have in their shack or whatever it is to check your card or whatever to get into the White House, and there's people there, it came over and says, Who let the dogs out? Roof, roof, roof. And there's ha 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 ha. I didn't think it was too funny. And anybody that's a Vietnam vet that watches this to the end, I don't think they would think it was very funny. And I didn't. And I said, look, why don't you take your stuff off? Come on out here. We'll see who let the dogs out. Let's see if you can kick a 68-year-old man's ass. You want to shoot your mouth off? Let's see what you can do about it. At that point, I was told, but if I didn't leave right now, I would be arrested. And the only reason I left is because I figured if they were going to humiliate me like that, a Vietnam vet in front of other people, then what were they going to do to my dogs? I'd probably never see them again. So I left. That's the kind of people you got are supposed to be protecting you, Mr. President. Right now, I don't know what today's date is, the 8th or 9th. I'll give you a month. In a month, I'm coming to the White House, and I'm going to have. I'm not going to be. I am going to bear arms, but they're not going to be arms. Okay, I want to have a gun. I'm going to have stones, rocks. There's a passage in the Bible that says, with a multitude or an army of one. And David picked up the stone and slung it and hit the Philistines. As far as I'm concerned, the Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Department of Defense are the Philistines. To me, I don't consider them my America. Okay? My America is, I don't think it's the America that I grew up in anymore. We're going to find out. Because when I do come with my stones, I have two stones. One says love on it. I got from this older woman. And the other one I found, it's a heart. Those are the first two I'm going to throw at you. Okay? Then I'm going to keep throwing them. And I'm not going to ever stop. So we're going to find out what kind of America is this. Is this an America that takes care of the people in America? Or it takes care of the people that have whatever, the Marine Corps, the Navy, these guys are scum. They're scum. You called the guys that were head of the FBI there, Comey and them, you called them scum. You called the guys that worked there, they weren't scum. Well, you called Comey and them scum. Well, I'm telling you, calm down, the Marine Corps, head of the Navy, and all of their little cronies up in the Pentagon, they're scum. That's what they are. They don't deserve to wear a uniform of this country. They don't deserve it. Okay? And I'll be coming. When I come with those stones, I can't throw too good because my right shoulder's all messed up because of that fall. I'm going to have my declaration of war with me. Okay? I don't care. If I have to die, I'm not afraid to die for my country and what I believe. And if I have to die, if I'm going to die, I can't see a better place to die than to see that building that means freedom for everybody in the world. So you have a decision to make. We're going to see where you stand, Mr. President. I believe in you. I have your hat right here. See it? Here it is. I have your hat. I believe in you. I believe you're the only man that can get us out of all this crap that all these other jerks got us into. I believe that. Now you're going to have to show me that my belief in you means something to you. I guess that's the end of, I don't know, how long have I been talking here? 30 minutes. I'm talking 30 minutes. Okay? I guess I'm done. But I'm trying to get this to as many people as I can. Anybody that sees this, hopefully someone will send this on. That's all I'm asking, for this to keep going. And hopefully someone will give it to you, because I'm going to be coming the 8th of next month. I'm going to be there. Okay? I can't drive because I have a ticket. That's the reason I know that it was the 2nd of February. I have a parking ticket that I haven't paid yet. One thing good about it is it doesn't get any bigger. It just stays $240, you know, because when I was there, I went to try and go to the VA and I had to park somewhere and they gave me a ticket. Right? It was the only place to park. What do you want me to do? You know, so, you know, I hope and I pray. You know, I go to church every Saturday and I ask God to help me. And they say God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. Well, over these 5 years, the only thing that has made me handle this is the how dumb these people are. This is, hold a minute. Hold it. Oh, man. This right here this is all the paperwork I have on these clowns. I have all of this stuff. Okay. These are pictures. This picture is stuff I worked on. Right, here's another one. Look at this stuff. This is where I was standing. This is where you could be standing, way the hell up here. See the guys down here? We didn't have fall protection for that. No. Here's another picture. You see that? That's a 7-ton. See how high that guy is off the ground? This is in Barstow. He has the fall protection on. That's what we needed. We didn't have it. Imagine if I fell from that. There's my dog. You see my dog? That's one of the dogs that was with me. Here he is right here. Come here, Athena. Come here, Athena. There she is. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'd like to see one of you guys come out and grab me. Ha ha. She would have let him have it. Yeah. I mean, these are all things that we worked on, that we painted. You can't paint these things by the side. You have to stand on them. I mean, here's a Connex box that we painted right there. Yeah, here's one of those Connex boxes, and there we're all standing there, right? Where the heck am I? I'm in there somewhere, But anyway, that's who we were. That's what we painted. Look how high they were. We didn't have anything. We didn't have any fall protection. We were supposed to have it. Where the heck am I anyway? Oh, here I am. That's me right there. See me? That's me, right there. Here's a 7-ton. See all the stuff we had to paint? You couldn't paint those by just standing on it. And some of the ladders we had, they weren't that high. Here's something else we painted. There's a porta toilet that we had. We had a couple of them in there, right? Now look at that. This and you had to be standing on this. So if you're 5 feet high, you're way the hell up here. So you fall off of that, and you only got about 2 feet of room between the wall and this on either side. You fall down off of this thing, you're like a pinball machine. And then you see what it's on? It's on a trailer. You better hope like hell you don't hit that into that, because that's all steel. Let me see what else we got here. This is a Humvee. Right here. Okay? There's a guy standing back there. All right? He's like almost 6 feet. The law is 4 feet, 1.2 meters off the ground. You have to have fall protection. You have to have the harness. Sorry. I don't know what they call these things. They're pretty big. Now you see these? You can't paint it from the side, even if you stood up on this thing here, because you have to get around the other side of this to paint on the inside of that. That's the muffler system up there, right? You have to get on top of this thing. Now this guy right here is 7 feet tall, right? That's like 10 feet off the ground, 11 feet off the ground. I was supposed to have a harness for that. I didn't. And for 7 years, they broke this law. For 7 years. And then they still didn't put it in until 2016. They waited to make the building bigger. When you know what it would have cost to put the thing in there? It probably would have cost them about $5,000, maybe $10,000. Because the only thing they had to do, the building that I fell in was I-beam construction. The only thing they had to do is take part of the ceiling out where the I-beams were, take another I-beam, drill holes, and put an I-beam running the length of the building. And then put a trolley in there with the rope that if you fall, it creates a whatever the heck the thing is. It's a little trolley thing, right? And that's all he needed. We could have done that. So for 7 years, they couldn't come up with $5,000, $10,000 to do that. And you're trying to tell me they gave you shit about me? about I fell? You know what my life is like right now? I sit here in this apartment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I go to church. Oh, when I go do my laundry, I do my laundry somewhere else so I can get outside. I walk every day so that I can stay in shape, some kind of shape. I've been trying to lose the weight that I put on. I was 195 pounds when I fell. I went up to like 250 something, almost 260 pounds after I fell. Right? Hey, being 65, it don't take long. But I'll tell you what, it takes a whole lot of time to get rid of it. Okay? I'm down to 228. So I'm getting there. Right? But I ain't standing for this. You took my life away from me. I'm getting my life back. I'm either going to get my life back or you're going to have to kill me. You ain't throwing me in jail. You throw me in jail, you don't let me outside, because you let me outside, I'm going to the first fence to get the hell out of there. And don't send the Secret Service here to arrest me for this crap. Okay? Because I won't appreciate it very much. I'm hoping that you'll get your guy there that's the head of the William Barr, your AG. I hope you'll get him and you'll tell him, I got the paperwork. I got it all here. I got these buys. I got them all right here. All your generals and colonels and stuff. I got them right here. I'm coming after all of you guys. I'm going to see all of you get busted. Okay? You're all going down the toilet. Every one of you. You think you can just walk away and almost kill people and walk away? You know? And then you throw everything you swore. I mean, when you get in the military, that oath you take, that takes you through your whole military career. That's what you do. That's who you are. You're our protector. Like when I got in, I mean, I didn't fight or anything, but if it came down to where I had to fight, I'd fight. I'd have to fight. I'd have to die for you. And I would have. But they didn't. They didn't care about people's lives. They cared more for their stars and their eagles and everything. And to me, they're piss ants. That's what they are, piss ants. You know, the ones that are in the Marine Corps. I'll tell you what. You know what they deserve? They deserve one hell of a DiNozzo smack. That's what they deserve. And as far as I'm concerned, I think they ought to go to the Pentagon, and they ought to rip them stars off, and then rip them uniforms off, and then kick their asses right out of that building, just in their underwear, and tell them to get the hell out. Another thing I want. Like I said, this is all written in stone. What I want letters, written letters from the Marine Corps. I hope it's somebody new. It's not the same idiots that did this to me. Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Department of Defense. I want letters telling me how they screwed up and almost killed me, and that they are really sorry that they did this. And I want it signed by them by hand. I don't want any computerized crap. I want their signatures on this, and I want it in handwriting so I can put it on my wall to show people that I won this. I am going to win. You see this? You see what it says? Huh? These colors don't run. You want to know something else, Mr. President? You know where I was born and raised? In New Hampshire. I want to go back there. And you know what New Hampshire is? The live free or die state. Well, I'm either going to live free or I'm going to die. It's all up to you, sir. You decide what you're going to do. I got to go now. Hopefully people are going to watch this, and I'm going to get a whole lot of people streaming, and you're going to find out. Thank you. You all have a nice day. Have a good weekend.